Welcome back to another episode of Didi Got a Podcast. I'm your host, Didi. I appreciate you all for tuning in as always, as I try to never make pointless videos. And I do not believe that today's video will be pointless either. All right. And in today's video, we're going to discuss some very interesting topics surrounding very many things that I've speculated before in the past, except we have additional information now to sort of add to this ever so growing catalog, if you will, database of reasons why it is that we believe what truly happened on September the 10th. Part of the reason why it keeps redrawing me back into the story, because it's kind of hard to turn down. Please hit the like button on your way in, as it goes a long way, especially for a channel like mine.
Almost immediately, the crime scene at Charlie Kirk's assassination was paved over. Ask yourself why, before Charlie Kirk even hit the ground, the man standing behind him had his finger to his ear and his phone to his head. Ask yourself why, in any other case, it would be, show me the autopsy. Prove it. Where's the bullet in the body? Not just a fragment. Show us the report. In any other case, it would be cut and dry, with simple detective work. So ask yourself why it's so messy. Why are there crumbs? Why is there doubt? Why is there doubt in a setting that had more cameras and microphones rolling than anywhere else? If you don't think this Tyler Robinson thing is even a little bit fishy, your brain isn't working correctly. And I may seem radical, sure. But the fact of the matter is I have more common sense and reasoning skill than most of you. If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So why are half the people calling it a goose? You could hide in a dark alley, shoot a random stranger walking down the street with zero motive, and they'd know who did it in a matter of hours. And you can bet your sweet ass that the case they put together against you is going to be airtight. So why is it that in a case set at a public event with more cameras and microphones rolling than probably anywhere else within a 100 square mile radius, are there so many holes in the story? If it doesn't make sense, it's because you're being lied to. It's like you don't want to believe it. And sure, it's far more comforting to just believe the propaganda, the media, the Fed slop. He sent a text message, but somehow he was already in police custody. The casing didn't match. He disassembled the rifle on the roof and left the screwdriver up there, but reassembled the rifle in the woods. For what reason, I don't know. Oh, and everybody knows that the first thing you do after murdering somebody in cold blood is to text your entire manifesto to your boyfriend. I can think of another time where it should have been pretty cut and dry, but there were just as many questions as there were answers. Does JFK ring a bell?
One of my favorite, if not my favorite role that's ever been performed on camera, and that is Heath Ledger's The Joker. Phenomenal job. I do believe that he had to dig into something dark in order to pull it off, but you give credit where it's due as far as the performance. We had never seen anything like that as it pertains to The Joker. Have to state for the record, now everyone a Freemason, make sure y'all remember this comment, because it won't just be me telling you that Andrew Wilson is a Freemason. He'll tell you himself. All right? So keep that same energy. Matter of fact, I'm going to save this comment. The video that you just watched of this gentleman who did an incredible job, the link to where I originally saw it can be found in the description. But also, this person was raising a lot of incredible questions, that very important questions that many of us have already raised. But it's also important because this individual is coming from the perspective that Charlie Kirk was set up. I'm not going to play it again, as we have a show to get into, but for those of you watching this on playback, just go back, rewind the video another 3 minutes ago, start that video over, and just watch it from the perspective Charlie Kirk may be alive, or Charlie Kirk is alive. And pretend that everything this person just said is coming from that perspective. Tell me if everything still fits perfectly. It's going to fit like a glove. The same questions as why certain things aren't being shown, aren't being why certain things were happened the way that they did. Just keep that in mind. Let's start off with a little bit of humor today.
I can't believe I just did that.
This is Tyler Robinson allegedly right after supposedly pow-powing Charlie Kirk. There it is, Tyler Robinson after the pow-powing.
I can't believe I just did that. I should probably get the heck out of Dodge, but first, let me text my leftist trans lover every detail of what I just did and why. Been planning for a week. Engraved the bullets. Disassembled the rifle, reassembled the rifle, disassembled the rifle, reassembled the rifle, disassembled the rifle, reassembled the rifle without a screwdriver while running. Put it in the woods, covered it in a towel. I did this for you. And send. All right. It's a good thing that I, Tyler Robinson, someone who has a 4.0 GPA and a 34 on the ACT, is smart enough to know that there is no way that the FBI could ever get a hold of my text messages.
Hilarious. Hilarious. Which begs the question. I'm curious what many of you all are going to say, because I don't know if many of you all, at least based on the comments that I've seen over the past few months, I don't know how many people have approached it from this perspective. Why has the case been so sloppy? Like, what reasons are you all willing to sort of propose or suggest could answer that question, right? Why is it that so many people, obviously at TPUSA, its affiliates, the Andrew Wilsonses of the world, who we're going to get into in just a moment, why is it that they downplay when we talk about numerology and the amount of times the number 33 has come up? And why isn't the case shut and closed, right? It should be an open and shut case if the idea is that the feds are feeding us slop, as many people are willing to propose. They're feeding us slop. But not only are they feeding us slop, they have rigged this entire case. That's many people's perspective. Everything I said in this video is alleged, YouTube. They have rigged this case in a way in which to quote unquote railroad Tyler Robinson, who probably played some role but didn't know he was going to be framed in the end, railroaded in the end. If that's a lot of you all's perspective, let me just present something, because I think a lot of things like the hat question that I proposed, Charlie Kirk throwing hats, and how it just didn't look totally real to me. Maybe it was. Some of you have told me, Diddy, he perfected throwing hats, bro. One of y'all went too far and said Charlie Kirk perfects everything that he does. Stop it. Stop it. But this is another one of the things I want to propose to people. If the feds are setting up Tyler Robinson, and if the feds are in on a quote unquote cover up because they took out Charlie Kirk, how come there's so much confusion and ambiguity in this case? What do I mean? The multiple sets of DNA found on the gun. If they have all these people set in place so that this case can be a cover up and a setup because Charlie Kirk is no longer alive, why all the confusion? If you are in control of all of this, when the information comes to us, that being whose DNA is on the gun, if they're setting up, if they're setting up Tyler Robinson, then it should be only Tyler Robinson's DNA on the gun. That is, because coming from the perspective, they're framing everything on Tyler Robinson anyways. So why are they allowing multiple sets of DNA to be found on the gun? Has anybody answered that question? Why are all these footages of Tyler Robinson so grainy? You say, well, because it wasn't Tyler Robinson, but couldn't they have just gotten Tyler Robinson to do these things? If he played a role, they don't have to have him on camera actually pow-powing Charlie, but can't they have at least perfect, incredible 4K, video footage of Tyler Robinson going up the stairs, coming down the stairs, walking through the parking garage? But instead, that's not what you find. So my point is, because some people are going to have a little bit of pushback to this. The question that I'm proposing to you is, why not just get Tyler Robinson to do those things, make it unequivocal, irrefutable, it's Tyler Robinson on camera, at the very least, walking in the parking garage. How come they have some people going to court like your Jack Posobics or Sobieks, your Officer Tatum, Officer Brandon Tatum, your Johnson, Benny Johnsons of the world? Why do you have these people saying that they saw 4K footage? Then you have other people like Brandy and Billy, I believe is her name, saying that they did not see 4K footage, right? Why don't they have footage of Tyler Robinson at least turning himself in? Whether he's innocent or guilty or whatever, they should at least have that footage. The point that I'm making here is, I believe that this is confusion on purpose. If they're setting up Tyler Robinson, at the very least, what they're telling us should be cut and drop. Like the video clip I just played for you, if they're just setting up Charlie Kirk, why not just tell us you found a bullet inside of Charlie? It's not like we can corroborate that story. If that is to be believed, that you've paid off the coroner and the people at the hospital, if we are to believe that you've paid these people off, it's a good question. I would love to know what someone has to say to answer that question. And I don't mean that like sarcastically. The reason why I believe they're doing this is to keep the circus going. I believe all of it is Freemasonic in nature. And for those of you out there that say, I am tired of hearing about Freemason this and Freemason, you got the wrong channel. I know, and I am still learning more about how the world actually works. Not the way we were taught it works. This fairy tale la la land, we all know as adults that we rely to as children about how the world works. Look how things continue to get worse. So we already know that we've been lied to, right? Speaking of being lied to, I want to show you all something. Where is it at? Let me make sure before I share this screen. I want to show you all something. Shout out to Project Constitution. He shared something very important. And I want to run this by people because this is something I've been saying for the longest, and I want to speak on it just a little bit.
Freaking crazy.
So here is, as we all know, Brett Cooper, who used to work for Daily Wire. Here's her talking about why it is that she don't talk about politics anymore. Let's hear what Brett Cooper has to say.
So I sometimes have people ask me like why I don't talk about politics as much anymore, or why I started to feel burned out, or whatever it is. And it's because I started to feel freaking crazy because of things like this. So this was Dan Crenshaw in 2021 under Biden. America, our food prices are too high. What are you going to do about inflation? Biden admin, just be vegan and stop complaining, you bunch of rubes. But then now, 5 years later in 2026, in light of the grocery $20 burrito affordability debate over on X right now, this is what he posts. Same guy. He says, just hearing about this dumb $20 burrito debate, so I thought I'd just make the losers on social media angry before going to bed. Stop whining and get a job. Eat ramen like the rest of us did in college on a budget with 4 roommates. The market doesn't care what you think something should cost. Only communists care. They set prices, remember? Then everyone starves, remember? Are you a communist, or are you an American adult male capable of handling his own shit? You know what, Dan? This sounds a lot like just be vegan and shut up. Just eat ramen and shut up. Eat your slop bowl and shut up. I mean, it is so, it genuinely makes you feel like you are going crazy. Both sides are hypocritical. Both sides just chase political brownie points. Both sides are printing money like there is no tomorrow. I don't even know if there's any way that America will ever come back from that. So I'm just done.
Do y'all believe that Brett Cooper, who I believe she's in her mid-20s, do y'all believe that first and foremost, Brett Cooper just came to this conclusion in the last 6 months to a year? No, I think she knew this at least a couple of years ago while she was still at the Daily Wire. But she gets a pass. You know why she gets a pass? Because she's so young. I'm going to tell you who don't get a pass, and that's a lot of these people that's older than me. And I mean that. You say, well, it takes some people longer to understand. Bro, listen to me. We are not just seeing the political hypocrisy in this country in the last 4 years. For some people, yeah, because it's their first rodeo. They're experiencing it for themselves, especially for the first time as adults. But many of these people saw this from the transition of Bush to Obama. They saw it from the transition from Obama to freaking Trump. They saw it from Trump to Biden, right? They saw it from Clinton to Bush. But stop it. Stop it. And I can keep going backwards. They saw that no matter who was in the White House, life just continued to get tougher for the rest of us. For the rest of us. They already saw these things, and then they pretend that, oh no, the solution is to get that other party back into the House, but we have to get House and Senate, and then we'll have it then, because they won't be able to vote against us. We'll have the majority, and then we continue to watch them not do the things stop it. The definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing and expecting different results. Stop it. If Brett Cooper has reached his conclusion after just a few number of years in the political space or the political sphere, what should that tell you about the rest of these influencers, like your Officer Tatums on the right, Benny Johnson on the right, your freaking we just talked about the heavyset black guy on the left that's in the fraternity, whatever his name is. He was just caught on camera twerking. What should that tell you about these people? They see the same things you see. Just like this tweet that Brett Cooper just exposed. These people are plants. They are placed into position to make sure that everybody else remains docile. Do you also think it's a coincidence a lot of these men, couple that I just named, have these homosexual allegations against them? Roland Martin. Thank you. Which, by the way, he's one of the two. Y'all already in the chat talking about the other person with these homosexual allegations. And I wouldn't be mentioning them unless there's a lot of merit behind the allegations. What should that be telling us about these people? All right. Andrew Wilson. Let me tell you, I already suspected that Andrew Wilson was a Freemason for a plethora of different reasons. Things that he was doing, things that he was saying that we're going to get into. I want to let everybody know that there is a huge collaboration coming next week. And so huge, in fact, that I am preparing as of tonight for the video. I believe we're going to collaborate as of Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So a week from now, you all can be on the lookout for a pretty huge collaboration. And the video that we're planning to do together, I have to start doing some research and collecting my thoughts and a lot of the things that I've found over the past 11 months. I have to start today to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row. So please stay tuned for that. Very excited. Long time coming. Before we get into Andrew Wilson and the whole Freemason perspective, because like I just showed you that comment from earlier, somebody claiming that now everybody's a Freemason. Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy, especially when you're hearing it from the horse's mouth. Okay? Before we do that, I want to show you all something. Shout out to Jimmy Dore. I like Jimmy Dore. Well, that's right. Before we get to Jimmy Dore, that's right. It's a comment I wanted to propose to you all. I did know the answer to this, and somebody was asking me this. And so there's going to be some folks in the comment section that won't like that you even decided to think for yourself and critique Candace Owens. But as you know, I don't care what they think. I'm going to propose this to the people because I don't know the answer. Someone responded yesterday and said, "Hey, Didi, did you know that Candace is far further along in her pregnancy than previously discussed, by the way? Normally her prerogative, but in this case, she condescendingly emphasized repeatedly that her fans had observed her pregnancy before she or her husband did. Yet she was already about 5 months along, but implied she was about 6 weeks along repeatedly. then started once again using it as a reason for aggressive name calling before piping down on lawyer doctor's orders, it seems. I don't know why no one else is talking about this. It's a little too Erica Kirk. I'd hid my pregnancy from me. I am a Candace fan. I would just suggest that nobody should be a fan of another human. Just be a fan of their work. I am a Candace fan, but I can't help noticing dishonest conduct and media manipulation. I just don't like it. I said I wasn't aware of this. I'll look into it. Someone says I thought the same thing. I was like, when the heck did she become 7 months pregnant? I thought that too, by the way. I thought it had just happened and she was at the 2 or 3 months part. I think somebody else said, I think you may have misread the quote unquote implications. Now, the purpose of me reading this is to once again reiterate, I genuinely do not know the answer to this. There could be an innocent explanation, but I did wonder when she said she was 7 months. I was like, oh, I haven't watched every single episode, but I watched most of them, and I don't know if I'd ever caught it. And in fairness to her, she's always sitting behind a desk. So, but I wasn't aware that she was. And when I did, I was like, oh, 7 months? She almost about to give birth. Normally, she'll like tell people that type of stuff. Not that she has to. So if this person is mistaken, please just hop over just so you can know where to find this. It is underneath the post that I made earlier today. So if you go into the post tab, it's me updating you all on the Andrew Wilson situation, which I'm going to read later in today's video when we talk about Andrew Wilson and Freemasonry. Our good old buddy Andrew Wilson, and how it's been confirmed that he is indeed a Freemason. All right. And we just keep seeing this over and over and over. But before we get to that, I want to react to Jimmy Dore's video about Blake Neff, because there's a few things. I just want you all to see a little bit into my mind and how my mind works with a lot of these things. All right. So let's go over to our good old buddy Jimmy Dore. Shout out to Jimmy Dore once again. Name of the video is called Blake Neff Slips Up and Tells on Himself About Charlie's Unaliving. So let's take a listen.
Wow, you just confessed. Talking to Blake Neff. You just confessed. Charlie Kirk's assassination was supposed to unite MAGA movement that had been tearing itself apart when Charlie spoke up about the Epstein files and the war in Gaza. But it all went wrong. You literally just provided TPUSA's motive for his murder. That's according to Jane Doe. You are confessing. Blake Neff, the used car salesman, the backstabber, and the betrayer of Charlie Kirk and everything he stood for, just outed himself because he made this. You're not going to believe this tweet. Yeah, are you ready for this? This is real. So Tyler Robinson's arrest might have united a MAGA movement that had been tearing itself apart over.
All right, watch this. Hear that? That's my wallet. So this is what most wallets still look like.
The Epstein files and the war in Gaza. It might have provided a common enemy, a focus on the lefty posters. I think he means posers. The lefty posers who were joking about Kirk's death, or Antifa, that the Trump administration had blamed for Kirk's murder. It might have, it not for Candace Owen. So he's quoting this stupid news piece from MSNBC.
Which Jimmy Dore is going to share here in just a moment, that not only is it MSNBC, but the person who authored this piece of work, if that's what you want to call it, you know, viscerally spoke about Charlie, made hit pieces on Charlie after hit piece for a number of years. But the reason why I'm showing this to you is because, number one, this strategy now that TPUSA has of only mentioning Candace. Now, you're going to have some simpletons and people who think this is about views and attention. No, I'm glad that, especially myself personally, it's a bit scary to get that amount of attention when you're exposing things like this, because I don't have the money for security and things of this sort. So this is not about jealousy, people. Think about what I'm saying. It's a bit strange that they are only focusing on Candace. Why are they picking on Candace Owens? Or should I say, Why are they only making sure that they know that this is generating more people to Candace? Why would they be doing this? People don't believe you, Blake Neff. They find Candace way more genuine, way more transparent, way more trustworthy. So why are you making the decision every other tweet to specifically talk about Candace? Even if you was to mention Ian Carroll or anybody else. But he's specifically only mentioning Candace. Why would he be doing that? I believe there's a strategy to that. But more importantly, this photo here. When I looked at this, a lot of you all won't be able to see it, or a lot of you all will not be able to follow unless you are in the world of talking about the occult, Freemasonry. When I look at the photo that they chose to use here, I got a screenshot of it so we can use it. When I look at this, I say that's an interesting way to title it. It's an interesting way to put the faces, the words, and knowing what I know about how this typically works. And we just discussed this in my video discussing why I believe Charlie Kirk is alive. You got what? First and foremost, I might be able. Do y'all remember the twin pillars that I was just talking about the other day? The twin pillars of Boaz and Yakin. Do y'all remember that? Let me see if I'm able to pull that up. Pull that image up before I tell you what I noticed about this image. And just so you can see or get an idea of just how my brain works. And again, there could be nothing here, but this is how my brain works. So here's the image. This is all Freemasonic in nature. The twin pillars of Boaz and Yakin, right? And here you got opposites, right? Bringing together of opposites. You got evil, good, left, right, Republicans, Democrats, right? The moon, the sun. But look down here and see what it says. Female, male, queen, king. All right. Why am I talking about this? Didi, why are you talking about this? Because when I look at this image, I think all of this stuff, including the people we're calling on the left, are working, quote unquote, against each other together. I'm going to say it again, working against each other in a unified effort. They understand what this is doing, and it's keeping the circus going. You got a black woman on the left. You got a white man on the right. So that is, you got a man on the right and a woman on the left. You got a black person, quote unquote, her skin is clearly brown, but so-called black person. And then you got a so-called white man. The bringing together of opposites. And then they're going to run this hit piece. They mentioned other people in the video as well, or in this hit piece as you're about to see here in just a moment. But I just thought that was interesting. And if you want to see it from a perspective of picking on Candace, however you want to look at it, it's interesting how they're using her as the framework, as if she's she has the biggest platform. But in fairness to Candace, many other people's already spewing what they're calling conspiracy theories well before Candace decided to publicly start doing it. Isn't that interesting? Something else I found interesting about this photo is the font that they use and the type of how they have the word KILLED. I try not to say that word on here. How they have that capitalized. So when you turn it upside down, very interesting to me that the number 77 is right there in the middle. Again, this could mean nothing. It could be nothing. But looking through my lens and seeing how they split the image down the middle and they got these polar opposites on one side, and then they got the word unalive, that I don't say the real word there. And then when you turn it upside down based on that font, you got the number 77. Many of you all are going to say, who cares about 77? What's the purpose of it? Well, let me get the image pulled up, and I'm going to show you, just in case you're new to the show, you didn't catch the episode, why, because I've covered this extensively on Patreon in my Kobe Bryant Sacrifice series. Link is in the description to the Patreon if you're interested in those type of breakdowns. We talked about Aleister Crowley, and here's the significance of the number 77. 77 out of 777 is 14 out of 21, right? That's 2/3, and that equals 666, 0.666. Intellect combined with egoic will, but devoid of compassion, duality times 7, 1 short of 78. Number of tarot cards, book of truth, deceit, sorcery, and chaos prevail over truth, love, will. Now, once again, there could be nothing there. I'm letting you know how my mind typically works. when I look at these type of photos, because there's a lot of images they could have used. There's a lot of ways they could have designed it, but they decided to do this and then follow up with how conspiracy sparked a MAGA civil war. All right. So just giving you a little bit of insight on how this is how I watch movies. It doesn't completely ruin my life. I know how to watch things on a 1 or 2 dimensional level. But when I looked at that image, I just thought that was super interesting that they decided to do it that way. But let's continue.
So he's tweeting that out. So what he's revealing here is that they knew the Epstein files and the Gaza war and the Iran war and all the stuff that Trump was doing to go back at, that was a problem. That was a big problem. And so the Charlie Kirk murder gave a chance for them to paper over those problems, come together and win the next election. It's almost like he's saying, yeah, it was a good idea to murder Charlie Kirk because it gave the right wing and the Republicans something to rally around where we can make up that it's the lefties that did it or Antifa or whoever, and we could all hate them together and we could go on to win. It's almost like he's admitting that the Charlie Kirk assassination was pre-planned for that very reason. It's almost like, because he's definitely doing everything he can to stop people from finding out who actually killed Charlie Kirk. He's definitely doing that.
He's doing his job. That's what Blake Neff is doing. That's why they're so unapologetic. And respectfully, because I like Jimmy Dore. We have some differences, as all humans do, but I like Jimmy Dore a lot. But that's why Blake Neff, I don't believe that he's protecting what you think he's protecting. Blake Roll has a role to play. I believe these people are actors.
All the people at TPU
allegedly
USA are definitely doing that. And there's a lot of right-wing influencers. Benny Johnson, Jack Posobiec, they're lying. Just blatantly lying about the case. Saying we saw a 4K video of Tyler Robinson pull the trigger. So that is the weirdest. And I want to show you. So this woman that he is linking to this is the news report he's linking to. It's by this woman who did hit piece after hit piece after hit piece on Charlie Kirk when he was alive. Hated him. Did the most underhanded hit pieces on Charlie Kirk you can imagine. And this used car salesman, betrayer, piece of garbage, Blake Neff, who, by the way, was seen driving a car that resembled Tyler Robinson's at midnight in Orem that night. What? A bald guy was driving that car, and he can't tell you where he was. So this is the woman's news report he tweets out. There it is. Moments after Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, the conspiracy theories began, and no one has done more to amplify them than Candace Owens, who seized on the death of her friend to build an online empire. She already had an online empire. So of course this woman is the worst liar. The worst liar, the worst kind of establishment mouthpiece. And here she is doing the bidding of Donald Trump, who's also covering up the murder of it because it's most likely Israel. And of course, they all work it's a Zionist occupied media. So she works for them. And she's doing the bidding of Donald Trump, who also works for the Zionists and Israel. And online empire with baseless accusations. What? The baseless accusation is that Tyler Robinson did this murder with a rifle that was never fired.
Where am I?
A month's worth of content with one webinar? How?
Riverside did.
There's almost no evidence putting him on that roof whatsoever. There's more evidence that his roommate, Lance Twiggs, is more involved than he is. His fingerprints are on the gun. You mean his own gun? You know whose DNA is more on there? Lance Twiggs. They made up the confession. All
weird. All weird. Like I was saying before, that's weird. What do I mean by weird? Not the reason why we've been calling it weird for the last 11 months. It's weird because why don't the feds just make it an open and shut case? Only report that it's Tyler Robinson's DNA on the gun. Why have all these other DNAs? Why have all these things that also point to our good old buddy Lance Twiggs? Why would you choose to do that? Why are you choosing to do that? Well, I've already told you what I speculate is the reasoning. They could make this open and shut, and overwhelmingly, truly overwhelmingly, even to the public, it's overwhelming that it's Tyler Robinson, even if you believe that the timing of Charlie, quote unquote, being taken out is suspicious right after the July event with Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith, and, you know, right after he went to the PBD podcast and made these comments about Israel. The timing could be weird, but when people look at what's been reported, the evidence, it's overwhelming. You're like, oh, well, it's kind of hard to deny. They did a great job. But the feds didn't choose to do that. You say, well, maybe they messed up. They messed up this badly where they're choosing to report to us that there's multiple sets of DNA, right? They're choosing to do it publicly where there's all this ambiguity, there's all this up in the air as to what may have happened. They're doing this to confuse us on purpose, to keep it going. They know if they just poison his drink, if they just blow up his car, that's more straightforward. This is a spectacle.
Those are all made up.
Allegedly.
But of course they got a paid liar to come and do this piece.
She has a role to play as well, just like everybody else.
So I just wanted to show you this. Here's a little clip of it.
Do y'all see it? This is something else that they'll do, and they'll think that because the average person won't catch it, but I'm gonna tell you what will catch it. The psyche, the subconscious will catch it. Tell me what's so interesting about this still shot before they transition into it. Do y'all see it? Many of y'all that follow the channel should see it by now, and I'm a little disappointed if you don't. Let me put this image on the screen if you don't see it. Remember what I've said about the letter E. The letter E is also the number 3. The letter E is the number 3. This is when they'll say, see, this is what I mean. This is their idea of evidence. They're saying that E's are 3s and Egyptian planes, and they'll call you crazy. But you'll better understand why people like Andrew Wilson and others will pretend that the number 33, the occult, right? These things matter. And yes, they speak by way of images and symbols. They're literally taught that, except they've taken an oath and they're not supposed to reveal the way in which they communicate. But I'm building up to something. We're going to get to Andrew Wilson in just a moment. Just be patient with me. Bear with me. Let's get this off the screen. Let's get Jimmy Dore back up there. Do y'all see it now? The double E. I think y'all see it.
So I just wanted to show you this. Here's a little clip of it.
Right now, a look at the growing.
I don't know if you see that. There's yours truly right there. So this is the growing right. She calls this. I'm put in with. I'm a right winger now. Watch this.
Right now, a look at the growing impact of right-wing conspiracy theories.
Right-wing conspiracy theories. Really? You don't. There. No matter what. No matter where you point your eyes on this Charlie Kirk conspiracy, Charlie Kirk assassination, none of it makes sense. None of it.
Right.
First of all, they have video of him walking up and down the steps. He's limping with the wrong leg.
Right.
Both times.
Right.
The one time he's limping with his left leg. The next time he's limping with his right leg. Which leg is it? The guy forgot. They paved over the crime scene. They took the car they drove him to the hospital in, and they immediately steam cleaned it and sold it. There's a million things like that. But it's called right-wing. So, by the way, I'm a lefty, always been a lefty. I'm for Medicare for all. I'm for unions. I'm for free speech. I'm for my body, my choice.
Oh, Jimmy Dore. Oh, I like Jimmy Dore, and I've recently found him over the last year. Love his content. And then you are quickly reminded that many of these people come from many different walks of life, and we just all see that they're lying. Something else clearly happened that day. And so, like I said in yesterday's video, many different people from many different walks of life and political backgrounds have collectively come together for a common goal, and that's to figure out what truly happened on that day. Quote unquote leftists, people on the right or rightists, right? You got black people, white folks, Hispanics. You got foreigners, you have Americans, you have northerners, you have southerners, right? You have people from the Middle East. You got all type of people that's collectively come together. So when I'm reminded that freaking Jimmy Dore is a leftist, which doesn't bother me in its sense by itself, because every leftist is not radical. But when you start saying things like "my body, my choice," are you saying that you agree with? Okay, that's a huge turnoff to be hearing from him. Huge turnoff. Huge turnoff. But the point has been proven with that video. I thought that hit piece, quote unquote, was very interesting. The imagery that they're using and the angle that they're choosing to use. Erica Kirk, TPUSA, Blakey Neff, Andrew Covett is choosing to work with an organization that religiously, or a person in particular that religiously, pun not intended, religiously spoke about in his hit pieces on Charlie Kirk over the years. Weird. Let's talk about Andrew Wilson. As I've said, I've suspected for a while that Andrew Wilson was a Freemason. No, I do not believe that every single person is a Freemason. No, I do not believe that every single thing is a psyop. I do believe that applies to a lot of people we see on these national platforms. Yes, I do believe that applies to a lot of people that we see, once again, getting algorithmic support. And I'm sticking with it. I'm not saying every single person, but I'm saying I'm side-eyeing you. I'm watching you. I'm just seeing how things are going to play out in your quote-unquote career, your online career. Well, in this case, thank you to Andrew Wilson, because he told us himself. Before I let you hear him tell us himself, let me tell you why I suspected that he was a Freemason. Because if it's, number one, his sudden interest in this Charlie Kirk case, well, he'll say, well, I've been talking about it loosely here and there for months. No. What I mean like sudden interest is you were not at the forefront, and you have a big enough platform where I would have saw your content. And I've done some research, and you were not religiously talking about this and following this case like the rest of us was, not publicly. You were not. Now, all of a sudden, there's this sudden interest in Charlie Kirk. Which leads me to my second point of why I was suspicious of him for a different reason than other people would be suspicious of him. Was the thing that he was choosing to protect. He was choosing to protect the quote-unquote Fed slop. Oh, brother, I got my disagreements with you, but you're normally pretty good with your stuff. The third reason was because, well, let me say, before I get to the third reason, let me finish that second thought. Finish my thoughts on that second point. He's usually pretty spot on in his debates, but that's typically when he's debating against OnlyFans models and quote-unquote leftists, purple hair, blue haired leftists. But somebody commented either under my post or my video from yesterday, and I tried to find it so that I can give you credit. And I spent like 20 minutes preparing for this live, looking for it, and couldn't find it. So if you are that person, please let me know in the comment section. And if enough people like it to where I can see the comment, I will go and find you and pin it. They made a great point. They said, Didi, something about Andrew Wilson. Number one, I don't believe that he actually thought that Candace Owens would respond to him. Several of you all said that. They said that Candace called his bluff. Now he's paid up and he can't really afford it. They also said, I don't believe that Andrew Wilson is actually very political or even a conservative. And I also don't believe he's a Christian either. They made a great point. If you look at the way that Andrew Wilson conducts himself, the ways in which he conducts himself, the things that he's defended in debates and on camera, the dynamic of him and his wife, no disrespect to his marriage, he's not much of a Christian. He's somebody who has masqueraded or presented himself as such, which is also, also a Freemasonic tactic. One of the entry things is you can believe in a religion, even though it can be different religions, but you just have to believe in a religion to join. And that is because once you get to the top, you realize that they ultimately worship Lucifer, whatever you want to call them, the enemy. Albert Pike told us that himself in his books, in his writings. But of course, if you ask a Freemason, they say that those are not legitimate and you shouldn't trust them. But okay. The most revered, arguably the most infamous public Freemason and known for his Freemasonry, we shouldn't believe what he's telling us in his own book. Okay. She made a great point. She said, I don't think he's a Christian at all. I said, I don't either. You listen to this man, how he talks, how he conducts himself. I'm like, are you Christian though, bro? I'm not saying be perfect, but you're not really giving Christian, as the young people say, as the women would say, the young women, the young females these days would say. It's not really giving Christian. It's giving you say you're Christian because it fits. You look more conservative when you're debating OnlyFans models. You look more conservative when you're debating these radical leftists. Are you really a Christian though? I don't really get that from you. Well, this is a shout out for the person earlier that said, so everybody's a Freemason now? Let's hear it from the horse's mouth.
I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, only for the purposes of trying to explain to you that I have some intricate knowledge in some of the things that Woodcoff has lied about, chiefly his book, The Masons and Their Lies.
Okay.
I was a Freemason, Master Mason. I don't remember exactly how many years. I think 3 or 4 years. Okay, I still have all of my dues cards. I still have the Lodge Bible that was dedicated to me by everybody in the lodge. Okay, I was a Freemason myself.
Let's play that again, because everybody's a Freemason now, huh? Let's hear it from the horse's mouth. What did he say? A Master Mason?
So, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, only for the purposes of trying to explain to you that I have some intricate knowledge in some of the things that Woodcoff has lied about, chiefly his book, The Masons and Their Lies. I was a Freemason, Master Mason. I don't remember exactly how many years. I think 3 or 4 years. Okay, I still have all of my dues cards. I still have the Lodge Bible that was dedicated to me by everybody in the lodge. Okay, I was a Freemason myself.
I accept my apologies in the form of payments, nothing less than $5,000. Every last one of you that questioned it. Now, let's move to the next point, which is people are going to say that's not a big deal. Who cares? The fact that he even publicly shared it. Well, he's also publicly shared that he don't know very much about the occult. He don't know very much about rituals. He said this himself in debates, in conversations. It's much like how, respectfully, Charlie Kirk said that he didn't know much about Freemasonry. He don't doubt that maybe they are in positions of power in politics when he was asked about it. Let me just find it, because I hadn't played it in so long. Let me go and find that clip of Charlie saying that. Let's see. Charlie Kirk on Freemasonry. And I'm going to tell you why this is a big deal. It's not a big deal because he admitted it. No, this is a pretty big deal. Admitting that you're a Freemason is a big deal. And we're going to go over why. Let's just share it. Here's Charlie Kirk.
What about the Freemasons? I've seen a lot of conspiracies and a lot of good
strong
stuff.
opinions about it, honestly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like, I mean, it could be right. I've known some people that have been Masons that have just been like regular everyday people, but I'm open-minded.
What do you think about the Freemasons? I've seen a lot of
Bro, Charlie Kirk is very well spoken, very articulate, very well educated, very well read, and particularly when it comes to this country, he knows his history. You don't know that the founders of this country were primarily Freemasons. You don't know that the history of this country, when we say the land of the free, what it really means is the land of the Freemasons. The land of the Freemasons. You don't know that, Charlie Kirk, as intelligent, as gifted as you. Of course, Charlie Kirk knew that. But not only that, Charlie Kirk is very well spoken. Why does he seem nervous here? He almost seems stumped. Like he's trying to get his wording out. He's trying to like appear as if he knows just the basics. It's like him downplaying Mormons. No, that's a really big deal. The creator of the Latter-day Saints was a Freemason. Joseph Smith was a Freemason. But not only that, they've incorporated not only in their attire, literally with the aprons, but their practices. And they openly accept and encourage people to join Freemasonry in Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints, or whatever it's called.
Conspiracies
I
and a
don't
lot
have
of good
strong
stuff.
opinions about it, honestly. Yeah, like, I mean, it could be right. I've known some people that have been Masons that have just been like regular everyday people, but I'm open-minded.
What do you?
He's open-minded. That's what you call a safe answer. That's a safe answer. But Andrew Wilson isn't a regular everyday person.
Oh, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, only for the purposes of trying to explain to you that I have some intricate knowledge in some of the things that Woodcoff has lied about.
I bet you do. Would this also explain, I'm not saying being a Freemason gives you magical powers, or everybody that's a Freemason is famous and rich and wealthy and popular. Not my position. I know people in real life who have been Freemasons, and I've had conversations with them about it. Just like I would have conversations about people that join fraternities in college. All that is low-level Freemasonry. You can't serve two masters, but we'll get there. Andrew Wilson, right? Andrew Wilson here. He's telling you out of his own mouth he's a master Mason. People like myself have been doing and digging into this guy's history over the past maybe week or so. We're trying to figure out where he came from. What's his track record? Online, he's willing to respond to comments of just any everyday regular folks. What would you like to know, he'll say. Prior to 2020, why do I not have a track record past 2020 on the internet? Oh, it's because I wasn't on the internet. I delve a little bit into this, and I believe he talked about being in some sort of freaking darn it, I wish I would have saved it. But he's been involved in either the military, or he's been involved in some pretty serious like operations, and he's open about it. He's open about it, much like how he's open about talking about being a Mason. Like, this is just it's nothing. Freemason book and Bible and all the things. So now it makes sense. Now it makes sense why you downplay all the things that we talk about. When we mentioned the numerology and the shape of the area where Charlie Kirk was sitting, which we're about to get into in just a moment, people like you come along and try to make people feel crazy for noticing patterns. You're not crazy for being a human being. You are great, and I'm not saying you're perfect, but you are perfect in the sense of the way that God made you. You are perfect in your imperfections, which is the way God meant for us to be. All right? So you are not crazy for noticing patterns. Isn't that right, Mr. Mason, Andrew Wilson?
Chiefly, his book, The Masons and Their Lies. I was a Freemason, Master Mason. I don't remember exactly how many years. I think 3 or 4 years. Okay, I still have all of my dues cards. I still have the Lodge Bible that was dedicated to me by everybody in the lodge. Okay, I was a Freemason myself.
Let's talk a little bit about Mason. Wilson? Because if you see this video clip or if somebody clips it and you just happen to come across it, you just strike me as the type to speak very crass and say that I don't know what I'm talking about. And okay, cool. So if you see this clip, respectfully, brother, we can talk about masonry. I won't give you an out by telling you what I know in this very clip. You'd have to do your own history on the channel to see what I know. I'll let her talk about it. Let's talk a little bit about that Masonry Bible. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about Charlie Kirk. Let's talk about Charlie Kirk. What happened with Charlie Kirk? Well, you're getting ready to prepare for a debate in a couple of days. That is, if you don't bail. That is, if the purpose of this wasn't something else. I've yet to tell people fully what I think the full purpose of popularizing this debate has really been about. Partially because I'm still paying attention to learn, to fully grasp what I believe is going on. But you probably haven't had time, Mr. Andrew Wilson, to fully do your history on what Candace Owens has said. And this might help you a little bit. If you want to point to some things that she can't 100% prove, well, now that we know that you're a Mason, yes, I said is a Mason. Now that we know you are not only a Freemason, but a Master Mason. All right. So you put in some work. You went through some rituals. Let me help you out. This is a little bit of a longer clip. Here's something that the one and only Candace Owens had to say about why she believes that the Charlie Kirk event was a Freemasonic ritual. And these are two videos that I've edited into one. I have linked both videos to Candace's channel in the description so you can give her the credit that she deserves. But I would like to just talk a little bit about this because if Andrew Wilson comes across this clip, I'd love to see what he has to say about this. That is, being that we know that he's a Freemason and it's undeniable. All right.
You guys, happy Monday to everyone except for the occult Freemasons who sacrifice people, who murder people. I do have to say today is a great day to be Candace Owens. It's a great day also to be a Candace Owens podcast listener because back in November, I was telling you guys that France was in fact involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination, specifically that their intelligence agency, also known as DGSE, was involved. I also told you that in the military, they wear maroon. Like it's the military parachutists. They wear maroon. And that the whole 33 thing was not subtle. It was Freemasonry. Well, lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, 22 people in France are on trial for running a Freemason military hit squad. And the story is related to Israel. I promise you, that is what is trending today in the news. You see, it's all crazy until you understand how the world actually works. You do not live in a meritocracy. Okay, you do not live in a meritocracy. These people murder and they steal and they kill. And I got to tell you, regarding Freemasonry, all roads lead to France and Israel. It's been very interesting as I learn more and more about Freemasonry. This is the first book club book that I'm reading with the book club. It was on my desk and I wanted to read it for a while. And I was like, I'm just going to read it with you. And it just got super interesting getting into the history of these Freemasonic groups and how all roads lead to 33, France. But it's always been a war on the Catholic Church. And so I wasn't expecting this to be about Catholicism at all. And we somehow, and in each book, they're like, we hate Catholics and we will crush them. And we will, wear the mask of Christianity because that's what they were doing. But they were not I'm not going to rant on it, but literal blood sacrifices to various demons, that kind of evades us. It evades our understanding of the world because we look at Hollywood, we look at culture. Hollywood in particular has been ever intentional in assisting sort of the implausibility of such a narrative, right? Movies, books that are published, if they delve into the topic of witchcraft and spell casting, it's reserved really for the category of fantasy. Right? It's fantasy if they're discussing it, or it's being mocked, Hocus Pocus, or Harry Potter, really. What sort of crazy person would believe that ancient pagan practices are still happening in the real world? Okay, maybe in some remote third world village in Africa, but in the developed Western world, at the tippity top of government, you would be mad to even suggest it, even when it's actually in our faces. Take, for example, this recent Paris fashion show collection from a brand known as Materier.
I promise you I'll keep the video going in just a moment. Let me just respond to something. Somebody says, dude, Didi, you would get destroyed in a debate with Andrew. I don't like his personality, but he is often a good debater. I agree. I actually agree with everything in that second sentence. I don't really care for his personality as much myself. And I do agree that he's a good debater. depending on how bad the leftist is that he's debating in the topic. He's even a great debater. Don't underestimate me though, bro. Humbly. And it also depends on what we're discussing. We typically agree on the positions that he takes when he's discussing, he's having these quote unquote debates, if that's what you want to call them, with the OnlyFans models, with quote unquote leftists. Sure, Andrew and I typically agree on those things. So we probably agree with more things than we disagree on. But if we're talking about Epstein, he would not destroy me. He's defended Epstein, and I think I'd handle myself pretty well. He's also defended the definition of what PDF file means. I think I'd handle myself pretty well. All right. Not to mention, he's discussed some other things that you might not know, that you might not be proud to know that he's taken the position of, and I'd gladly take those positions. I'd gladly take those debates. So just be careful what you mean. Don't underestimate me, brother. I'm all right myself with debates. In fact, I encourage them. I invite them. Andrew Wilson or anybody else that likes. But again, it just depends on what we're talking about, because how can I debate you on something that we agree on? The Charlie Kirk thing, I would gladly, and I've multiple times called out Andrew Wilson. I just don't have a big enough platform or following to reach him. Actually, somebody tagged me, and he responded actually on Twitter, and he was asking what would we debate about. And I don't know if he ever responded after that. I didn't keep up with it. I would gladly debate him on that. So the conversation here in Candace, of course, is going to generate far more views because it's Candace Owens, but I would gladly have a conversation with the dude about it for free. So, humbly, don't underestimate your boy.
Hey, Cal, just so you know, that translates to fecal matter. Wow. Must have really been an inspired show. Fecal matter. Wow. No, so in your face, but don't you take it the next step further and think that, these people could be into some dark stuff. That would make you, again, a crazy person. What about the much celebrated visual artist to the stars, the Serbian one? She's also an artist to the politicians. She does spirit cooking. Literally, that was what was in those emails. Marina Abramovic. She puts on performances in front of the...
Marina Abramovic, which tells me that this is probably Candace's first time speaking about her. Marina Abramovic is one of the... she's a literal witch. A literal witch in the industry, opens about it, does spirit cookings, tied to Jay-Z. We've talked about this many times over the years. I've been talking about Marina Abramovic for probably 4.5 years on the channel. Yes, very, very open occultist. She's spoken about what she believes the true purpose of Donald Trump being in the White House is about. But yeah.
Most powerful people in the world. Performances like in 1974, when she sought to evoke the energy of extreme bodily pain using a large petroleum-drenched pentagram, which the artist lit on fire at the start of the performance. Standing outside of the pentagram, Abramovic cut her nails, her toenails, and her hair. When she finished with each, she threw the clippings into the flames, creating a burst of light each time, burning the pentagram, representing a physical and mental purification. That's just art, guys. That's just art. Don't you think a step further? No, come on. That's just art. And on the matter of science, even when it's in our faces, like when the world's leading nuclear physicists are caught, cloaked before a statue of Shiva, stabbing a woman in an occult ceremony for CERN, well, you guys, that's just science. That right there that you are looking at on your screens was science. The best.
That's what Andrew Wilson would call it, and now we know why.
Science, the best that science has to offer, the most ingenious people. And indeed, I would agree that it is modern science. In fact, the entire thrust of what was deemed the scientific revolution, a move away from the natural order of things and towards empiricism, rationality, that began because of a long organized Freemasonic effort to remove humanity from our innate spiritual understanding. Okay? They wanted you to know that you can now ignore your God-given instincts. You can set aside your subconscious, that subconscious that comes online and lets you know that something is not right. Yeah, you can just set that aside and trust the experts instead. In fact, the experts constantly reinforce to us that our subconscious is wrong, or it's just weird. And in some cases, it's immoral. It's devilish even. You want to go see your grandmother while she's dying in the middle of COVID? What are you, Satan? You're being guided by Satan. If you don't listen to Dr. Fauci, that's who you're being guided by. because there's no greater source of authority in their.
And again, I typically don't like to play other people's videos this long, but again, I edited this video for a reason. I need you all to get the full extent of what we're talking about with this Charlie Kirk case. And I wasn't going to pretend like I was the first one to find it. Candace did a great job in this episode speaking about it. Regardless of what role you think Candace may be playing, if any, what she revealed in this episode is going to work perfectly for what I believe is happening with the Charlie Kirk case, except I don't come to the conclusion that he's deceased.
World and the government, which they control. That's the idea. And I promise you on everything, that when Savannah, my manager, came down the stairs and delivered the news that Charlie had been shot.
Here you go. And you know she came from a black family. She said on everything. I don't see Candace talk like that often. On everything. On my mama.
I went into my husband's office and I cried, and I immediately said to him, he was betrayed. Charlie was betrayed. And my husband said back to me, you don't know that. We don't know anything yet. And I said, I know. Now, empirically, that argument fails. I get it. But no one can explain why or how I had the sense of dread in the very week leading up to Charlie's assassination. No one can offer why I knew that there was danger coming specifically to a school, and why I felt that it was related to bees, why the feeling was so overwhelming that I hired extra security and took my podcast off air and pulled my children out of school. I had never experienced a dread like that in my life, ever. No one also can explain or even offer an explanation as to how exactly it is that Charlie knew he was going to die young, and that his death would specifically be related to Turning Point USA. He said he knew from the moment he signed on the dotted line that he was going to die young.
That sounds very ritualistic to me. I mean, we can have that conversation.
Exactly is the expert explanation for that deep internal knowing that he had that has now been proven correct. I'll tell you, there isn't one. There isn't one. What Charlie sensed was obviously right. And the moment that Charlie was shot, I knew what happened to him was not random. Okay, he was betrayed. Charlie Kirk was the first casualty of the war in Iran. I'm certain of that. And it's deeper than that. I am now of the opinion that he was likely sacrificed. And I want to tell you why I got there. You guys know, if you're a part of my book club, I've been doing a lot of research into Freemasonry. About a month ago, while we took a break to prepare for our Bride of Charlie series, someone sent me this. I'm showing you, this is what they sent me in the mail. Something that is known as a Freemason Bible.
Does that sound familiar? Did we not just hear somebody else talk about their... Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Now, I knew that these existed because of my studying Sigmund Freud and looking into the fact that he had inherited one from his father. The backstory of this one in particular came with a handwritten letter, is that a 33rd degree Freemason out in Oklahoma died, and all of his belongings were left in a home that was eventually auctioned off. And the person who had this in his possession, his relative was the person who acquired the home. And they went in and they burned everything in it effectively, thinking that it was obviously just carrying bad spirits. But he, for some reason, had the sense that he should keep this one item. For no particular reason, he kept it in the back of his truck for over a decade. And when he saw me covering the history of Freemasonry and what they believe, trying to discern what it is that they believe, he felt that this was the reason that he had kept it all those years. So he just sent it to me to provide me further insight into what they believe and what they practice at the top of Freemasonry. This is not your granddad's Freemason lodge, okay? No, my dad was a lodge. It was just a no, this is not that. That is not what 33rd degree Freemasonry is. So I flipped through this immediately after we did douse it in holy water. I flipped through it. And within the very first pages, there was a pentagram with various illustrations inside of it, notes around it. I'm going to show you that now. We just took a picture for it for you to see it there at the bottom. And in case you can't see what is pointing to the middle, it says place of sacrifice or worship. Okay, place of sacrifice or worship in the middle there. So I want you to note that in this Freemason Bible, it illustrates that a sacrifice must be made in the center of a pentagon.
Isn't that interesting? Because if you ask Andrew Wilson, he'll say this is complete baloney. And wait for it, where's your evidence? That's what he's going to say. This doesn't prove who took out Charlie. Prove it. That's what he's going to say.
pentagon, 5 sides, like a house. And I thought, how curious that Charlie was indeed seated in the center of a pentagon when he was killed. Let me demonstrate that for you. You can see that right there. Again, it was my independent study into Sigmund Freud that led me to learning about B'nai B'rith, the Jewish Freemason group, whom I believe have been running our country since at least the Civil War. I've done my best to consume and learn about what it is that they believe, what they practice. This is occult mysticism.
Yes, it is. But you know what's something else that's interesting? We've discussed this extensively on Patreon over the years. But you know something that's interesting? Whenever Candace, specifically Candace, I'm going to mention Candace because she has the biggest platform by far. When Candace speaks about this, you notice they'll complain about everything else. Why aren't they talking about this piece? Do you notice that they don't talk about the Freemasonic piece of it? That's a bit interesting. Why don't you talk about the Freemasonic piece of it? All of a sudden, Freemasons don't exist. Their lodges don't exist. Rituals don't exist. Of course it exists. Why is this the one thing they don't talk about?
Okay. The satanic panic that happened was real. Children are being harmed. They have been harmed in occult ceremonies for a very long time. This is an ancient practice. And this is not to be confused with Judaism in any way. In fact, they rely on you confusing it. In no shape or form is this
They rely on confusion in general, which is why I started off the channel or started off the video with talking about why do you think it is that they've made everything so up in the air? They could have just made this an open and shut case. Only Tyler Robinson's DNA on the gun. There's clear video footage. They have the ability to do all of those things. But instead, they make it where it can be debated. They make it up in the air. They make it where there's all these uncertainties. You don't think that's done on purpose when they have the resources, they have the ability, they have the manpower to just open and shut this case? Why haven't they just unalived Tyler Robinson? They could have done that too. You said, well, that was the plan. We've already thought through the investigations, they planned to Epstein him. They planned to unalive him. But he put a crook in their plans when he showed up or turned himself in. I've heard all the speculations. Good reason to believe that. Here's the problem. Since when has this stopped anything? They did that to Epstein, right? Epstein, they had the same thing that they said. The same thing that they said, same thing by Epstein, right? Epstein was in jail when he was allegedly unalived. Unallegedly. When he was allegedly unalived. Correct? Exactly. So since when has that stopped anything? They could have unalived Tyler Robinson months ago. Which, by the way, I've already stated, these people don't actually get unalived. You're not protecting Tyler Robinson's life. An innocent man is going to get put down when it was really a cover-up. TPUSA was, no. Nothing's going to happen to Tyler Robinson, allegedly. It's not how these things work.
Have anything to do with any of the monotheistic religions, okay? Judaism is merely a mask that these pagan occultists wear, just like Christianity is one of the masks that they wear. The Star of David, as they term it, is in fact an occult symbol meant to represent King Solomon's ring. There is no way that you can avoid this.
That's a fact as well.
No way that they...
Just like this image I showed you all earlier, right here, is the entrance, quote-unquote entrance. These two twin pillars here is the quote-unquote entrance to Solomon's temple. But I digress.
Try to rewrite history. It is quite literally known as the Seal of Solomon. I'm going to show you this. This is on Wikipedia. This is that accessible. We can read parts of this together. It reads, it is often depicted in the shape of either a hexagram or a pentagram. In mystic Jewish lore, the ring is variously described as having been given to Solomon, the power to command the supernatural. Due to the proverbial wisdom of Solomon, it came to be seen as an amulet or a talisman or a symbol or character in medieval magic and Renaissance magic, occultism, alchemy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is literal witchcraft. We cannot beat these people and we cannot win if we refuse to even recognize what it is that we are up against.
Couldn't have said it any better myself, and this is when I've given Candace Owens her credit. You say controlled opposition or the potential of being controlled opposition. Yes, that's a possibility. I'm going to consistently say that. And I'm going to consistently also state that I also give her credit that she seems genuine. And the fact that she goes this great into details about these things. Because my research over the years, I come to the same results as well. All right. And like she said, this is not your everyday Freemason that we're talking about. Oh, my cousin or my friend's dad. No, brother. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about these people in positions of power and these people that are high ranking. All right. High ranking. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can get a collective understanding of why it is that our good old buddy here, Mr. Andrew Wilson, why it is that he has so much pushback, and it's very weird and strange, and even people that supported him before, and some of them are calling him out. Many of them are like on edge, not wanting to know how to feel about it. I see y'all too, right? Pretending that you don't see that this dude is acting strange about this case. What is it? 1,978,000. Yeah, no, that's right. As of yesterday, 1,979,000 red flags surrounding the Charlie Kirk case. That was hyperbole, everybody. He seems to not care about any of them. Prior to that, he was all about common sense. What do you mean OnlyFans model? Let me tell you the downsides. Let me tell you why that's a terrible idea long term. Everything he says after that makes perfect sense. Whether they choose to listen or not. Live their own life. Men can be women. Well, let's talk about the literal definitions of what a man and a woman is. Let's just start there. We can speak from a biological, a theoretical. What's a man? What's a woman? A philosophical perspective. And everything he says after that makes common sense. This right here, all of a sudden, the Charlie Kirk case, common sense just went out the window. You like, what happened to you, dude? Only motivating factor outside of money is this right here.
A little bit about myself.
Tell us about yourself.
Only for the purposes of trying to explain to you that I have some intricate knowledge in some of the things.
Not just knowledge, but intricate knowledge. And he's going to prove that because he's not just a Freemason.
Things that Woodcoff has lied about, chiefly his book, The Masons and Their Lies. I was a Freemason,
okay.
Master Mason.
Master Mason.
I don't remember exactly how many years. I think 3 or 4 years. Okay, I still have all of my dues cards. I still have the Lodge Bible that was dedicated to me by everybody in the lodge. Okay, I was a Freemason myself.
Now I'm right now trying to get the ranks. Let me see if this will pull up. Typically on my show, if you're new here, when I try to get an image to pull up, it doesn't pull up the first time, and I have to screenshot it the old-fashioned way. But let's see if it's going to work this time. And it looks like it is. All righty. So let's see. Let's get this banner out the way. And what I'm going to do is let's see if we can read this. Maybe this is not I don't think this is the right one. I don't think this is the right one. Shoot. All of these images are going to be too blurry. But there's a ranking. But whatever. It doesn't matter. We know that he wasn't just a Mason. He was a Master Mason. And so now you know why he's taking these really weird positions that nobody can seem to understand why he would take it. Why he's using this strategy. And that's also part of the reason. Now you know part of the reason that I believed that he is going to, if he chooses to, if he makes it to the debate, he's going to take the perspective or the angle of, Well, yeah, sure. All these things are red flags, and yeah, these things are inconsistencies. Okay, fine. You caught Erica in 47 lies. Blake Neff has lied 13 times. And Andrew Covett has lied another 52. Okay, fine. Cool. Terrell Farnsworth lied. Mikey McCoy won't talk to anybody on camera. Okay, fine. But what does that mean? Such a weird, odd angle to die on. Like, that's what you're gonna say? Yeah, sure, all of these things don't make sense, but because we can't prove what they mean, you kind of should leave it alone. Okay. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We now know who this guy is and what he represents. All right. We now know who this guy is and what he represents. It's like telling somebody, I'm ex-CIA director, ex-CIA director. One CIA in my book, always CIA. But like Brian the auditor said, that could be a ploy in itself. What do I mean? Simply telling us that you're CIA and making people so suspicious of the CIA that these other three-letter agencies don't get as much side eye, don't get as much attention when they should, because maybe they're of the level and are just as dangerous as the CIA. Same thing with this. Don't downplay what this man is telling you. What is it? What is it saying? If a person tell you who they are, believe them. Believe them. All right, y'all. There you have it. Do with that as you will. If you need extensive information or to know why it's a bigger deal that he is a Freemason, or that he's admitted that he was a freaking Master Mason, which didn't shock me at all to see. I was already looking to see if I could find that about him. And sure enough, here you have another one of these people who's a Mason. Either they tell us, or you have to come to your own conclusion based on their pictures or their hand signs or their behaviors or their connections. And then you're going to have people to give you pushback. Well, he didn't say it himself. You don't know that because of the colors or the hand signs or the handshake that he gave. That could mean anything. Let's just say we got lucky in this case and he told us. But I would also encourage people, we don't have to always need them to tell us. Pay attention to the things that they're doing. That's why you have a lot of us out here. Many people have been doing it way longer than me, way more versed in this space than I am. They're able to tell by other ways. Because again, they communicate by ways of pictures, images, handshakes, poses, hand signs, all right, colors. All right. So if you want some extensive information on Freemasonry and why it's a big deal, I'll try to remember to link in the description. An interview with a Freemason. Not my interview. Still working on that. I came close a couple of times. Everything I say in this video is alleged. Everything I said in this video is alleged. All of it is for entertainment purposes. All right. Dee Dee's back. Dee Dee's back. What up? What up? All right, y'all. I'm gonna get to these comments, man. I got somewhere I gotta go. Shout out to Miss Elaine. Appreciate y'all for the jewels. Jay Cardosa. Now everyone a Freemason. Crying emoji. That didn't age well. That is, if you meant that sarcastically, which I believe that you did. Jay Rasa, thank you for the $5. Man, like Dee Dee just sending some love. Love, my brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, brother. If you are a man. If not, I appreciate it, sister. Thank you for the $5. Alexander Spillane was just found unalived. He's a young TPUSA advisory board member. What? I have to look that up. How do you know that? Really? I'm going to look into that. Thanks for telling me. I'm going to look into it. Alexander Spillane. Y'all look that up and let me know if this is accurate before I get off of here, if y'all able to in time. Appreciate you being a new member. Appreciate everybody. All righty. Thank you for the $5. Do you think Charlie thought they were faking his death, but know that calling someone else had other plans and they really unallowed him? I think that's possible. There's one of my biggest supporters on the channel. Her name is Gina. Gina has proposed that. She proposed that months ago. And I say either I believe he's alive or I believe he was under the impression, I believe other people were too, that something else was going to happen. And they later found out that he was actually not alive. So it's either that or I believe he's alive. That's my current position. As a reminder, please hit the like button before you go. It goes a long way. Please, please, please hit the like button. If we can get 2,000-3,000 likes by the time this live ends, that'll be dope. That'll be dope. I know many of you all are leaving now because I'm going through Super Chat, so please hit the like button before you go. It means a lot. Appreciate you. Thank you for the $5. Rule number 1. Don't use talk text LOL. Do you think Charlie thought they were faking his death, but someone had other plans and really unallowed him? Yes, I do. I think that's possible. I think that's likely. That or my other theory. Again, very big video collaboration coming early next week or mid next week. And we're going to discuss that in extensive details. Thank you for $2, Tara Jackson. Thank you for your hard, truthful work, Didi. Thank you for watching and supporting. Appreciate you coming a member. Hey, Rachel. Hi, Didi. Watch Jake GTV before he gets canceled again, please. Jake GTV. Okay, I'll look into him. That's not Jake Shield, is it? Is that his name? Jake Shields? If that's not who you're talking about, then okay, I'll look into it. Thank you for the $2. Thank you for the $20. Everyone remember to stay connected to nature and protect yourself when going over these topics. We are one. God bless Didi and family. Absolutely. Very well said. Hey, remember, go outside, touch some grass, get some sunlight, go on walks. I love going on walks. Walks are good for you. Helps clear the mind. You don't want to become overconsumed with this investigation or with these super deep topics because it can taint your spirit. It's not for everybody. All right, what am I doing? Boom, full state. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, yeah, I wanted to read this. Somebody said, Didi, my man, you make plenty of money now. You don't know how much money I make, bro. You make plenty of money now, and seeing as how streaming YouTube vids is your job, just get YouTube Premium already. Is that not? It's not that expensive, and then you never have to worry about ads. Okay, that's fair. I'll look into it, bro. If it's expensive, I'm not gonna just be paying unnecessary money, but I'll look into it. I wanted to just I saved that message when I just caught it, happened to catch it, and I said, okay, we'll see. Thank you for the $5. Nick, how'd you find this? This looks older. I'm impressed. Giving you your flowers. Love your content. Thank you so much. I found it through the, what is it called? Through the grapevine. I actually wasn't sent that one this time. Usually people will send it to me, but in this case, I actually found it on my own. I'd imagine by the end of the day that's going to be everywhere. Not necessarily because of me, but because I just think it's going to start trending because of the so many people, as they call internet sleuths, that will find that clip and send it. It'll be funny if Candace actually mentioned that during the conversation. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate all of y'all. Trying to give all y'all love. Shout out to Sharon for the $10. Love you and praying for you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Standing up for Jesus Christ and truth. Absolutely. One and the same. Your new Aunt Sharon. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Big time. All righty. All right. Shout out to Maria. What's up, Maria? Good to see you. Thank you for the $5. Richard Lorenzo. Why do I know that name? I know Richard Lorenzo. Is that the pastor? Is that the guy who goes around and does street interviews? Interviews someone who went undercover in Freemasonry. I think Richard Lorenzo he's the Hispanic pastor, correct? I believe he's Hispanic. Love his content too. And I think I know what you're talking about. That was dangerous, by the way. Very dangerous thing to do. But heck yeah, man. Ending the live at minute and 30 seconds. That's super dope. Not too long. Won't be too overwhelming for people to watch back. Y'all hop in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Pray for everybody mentioned in this video, including Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens. Jesus Christ is Lord. I truly believe that. And I have some things I got to do. So I'm going to get up out of here. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. I'm Demetrius. I go by Diddy. Until next time. Peace. Oh, yeah. Diddy got a pie.
Attitudes and our work ethic become very important in realizing our goals and opening up possibilities. I had lunch a couple of weeks ago with a recent graduate at UCA. And his story is really fascinating. It's one of overcoming homelessness during his time pursuing his degree, first at a community college here in Arkansas, and then finishing his bachelor's degree here at UCA. His narrative ranges from estrangement from family for many years to a hopeful reunion with mother and siblings. His record is one of overcoming odds in a way that I probably could not, and certainly demonstrating levels of tenacity and patience and optimism that I can only marvel at. He wanted to talk with me about his new job and his career path going forward. I really need to be there to learn from him because that's where the real value was.
Everything I say in this video is alleged. Allegedly. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. Y'all just repeat after me. I really appreciate it. Alright. No such thing. Come on, we can do better than that. Talk to me. Talk to me. Alright, let's start it over. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. You're worse than the rich white people who are, or the rich white Jews that own these record labels, because they don't even understand these populations. You have a lot closer relationship to these people, and you're leading them to hellfire. You are leading them in the wrong direction in the name of getting rich and famous. How dare you? Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.